So the task we're getting ready to work on is witnessing a fire drill. Some of the cautions, hazards, and PPE required. You want to make sure that you're wearing your normal inspections PPE, and that if you go in high noise environments, that you also are wearing hearing protection. So in preparation to witness a fire drill, first thing we need to do is discuss with the captain and the chief mate what we expect. It's important to know that we're here to evaluate a fire drill. We're not here to critique a fire drill or score a fire drill or pass or fail a fire drill based on nitpicky stuff. We're here to make sure that the overall training program on board is acceptable and they can effectively put out a fire. What I like to do is I like to sit down with the captain and with the chief mate and discuss the fire drill before we ever get to that point. I like to give the captain the option to choose a space on board the ship to conduct his fire drill. I then tell them the exact same thing I just told you, that we're not here to critique or score their drill. We're here to evaluate their training system. What that does is it puts them at ease and lets them know that we're just here to make sure that they can do what they need to do. I also note that I don't expect them to do anything out of the ordinary, that they run the drill, that the chief should be directing and stating when the drill is over, when it's complete, when he's satisfied. I don't like to base it up to me. I also will tell them that if they charge fire hoses during their normal drills, that they should charge fire hoses. That if they bring certain emergency equipment, that they should break out certain emergency equipment. Anytime you throw a requirement in where don't provide or don't charge fire hoses, you can effectively jam up their drill and put them out of the norm. If you're trying to maneuver fire hoses through doors in the interior of the ship and you have uncharged fire hoses, doors are going to close on them, they're going to cause problems, then the crew gets frustrated, and then the drill quickly spirals out of control. But if they normally run them with charged fire hoses, doors will close, their fire port doors may be open, so they can still maneuver hose with the limited people they have, and they maintain track. Now when we talk about evaluating a fire drill, we know that there's some certain things that they do need to touch upon. Some of the things that we're going to want to verify is that there's clear, effective communication between the bridge and the fire parties, that the fire teams are somewhat organized, that they have fire boundaries established and they're actually going and checking on fire boundaries, that the crew is dressing out properly in the gear, the required gear that they're supposed to have, and that they're wearing it properly, that it's sized to fit them, that you don't have a small crew member wearing a triple extra large firefighting ensemble, right? So we also want to make sure that in doing the drill, they can effectively do what they need to do, that they know ship awareness, that they know where they're going, they know where the fire is, they know properly how to enter, they know maybe some basic hose techniques, and they know what to do once the fire is out. One of the things I like to do to initiate the drill is typically try to find a crewman, because what I want to see is how a crewman is trained to report a fire. So typically I may grab a mess steward or I may grab an able-bodied seaman and show them, hey, you have a fire in the trash can, show me what you do now. Typically that's when they'll go to the nearest calling device or they'll radio to the bridge, fire, fire, fire. I should expect to see immediately after that a general alarm and then everybody going to a muster station. They should be taking an accurate head count, making sure they have no unaccounted for personnel, and splitting up from there and going about their actual firefighting response. So, what's the goal of this whole task? To properly evaluate a fire drill. So what is an acceptable fire drill? It depends on you. Honestly, for me, as long as the crew can communicate effectively, can maintain fire boundaries, make sure they secure their electrical, and secure any fuel valves if there's any that need to be closed, and they can effectively dress out and effectively put water on a fire, I'm happy. If I have to stop and maybe add a little tip at the end and say, hey, maybe when you're dressing out, put your hood on first and then your jacket, those aren't showstoppers for me. But that depends on you. What do you witness? Again, this is not on how the fire drill is, it's an evaluation of the training system. If the crew's running around like they don't know what they're doing, or the chief is barking every order, telling every single person what to do, maybe they need to work a little bit more on their training system. These are things that you may bring up. Ultimately, whether or not it's acceptable comes down to you and is up to the Marine Inspector themselves. To summarize the tasks we've been talking about, witnessing and evaluating a fire drill. We're going to utilize our PTC checklist to make sure we covered everything on the list. We talked about hazards, cautions, and PPE. We talked about conducting your meeting with the Master in Chief to lay out and verify firefighting procedures and crew expectations. We verified the crew's ability to perform the task. We talked about their ability to dress out, their ability to utilize firefighting equipment, the ability to secure any fire dampeners or fuel settings, or secure electrical to the space. We talked about effective communication between the bridge and the fire teams and communication within the fire teams themselves. We also talked about the proper donning of the outfit and making sure they have all their equipment on board. We also talked about the most important part, what is acceptable drill for you. If you have any questions or anything comes up, just write them down and get with your local verifying officer when you're finished.